I love what I do here on the Checka Pro radio show, helping you, my listener, get the information you need about home improvement. We talk about HVAC, we talk about plumbing, and we're talking about electrical today with Luke Strange from Cool Hand Electric. Hello, Luke. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Doing all right?
Yeah, questions come in
Okay.
through the show. Can I install more outlets in my home? And it's an interesting question because I take that for granted. I know a lot about home improvement, and I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. But I guess a lot of people believe that when their house is designed, kind of like their air conditioning system, the electrical system would be designed for the house, which is kind of true. The panel, the service itself that's required, all of that is kind of pre-planned, and then everything's laid out with outlets and wiring. But I believe you can out outlets, can't you?
Of course. Piece of cake. Piece of
Yep.
cake.
Yep. And that may require a new circuit.
Yeah. So the new circuit. If someone's listening doesn't know the difference between outlet and circuit, the circuit, it would be the a breaker itself and a separate wire going to that one spot where the plug is, where they can plug in. So we would do that if you're adding like a mini split, like a small AC unit or a window unit that pulls a lot of power, or if it's it's a lot of older houses didn't have separate outlets for the bathrooms, and so like hair blow dryers are pull a lot of power or space heaters. So those ones would want like a separate circuit. It's very common though, if you have small kids and there's a lot of cords hanging down, like for baby monitors and whatnot, and maybe they're toddlers and running around, and you want to elevate those. We could, if there's a plug down low, it depends on the location, but yeah, absolutely, we can put plugs anywhere. It just depends on a lot of people add plugs for Christmas lights,
Mm,
so have
yep.
it instead of having extension cords going across their porch or their walkway. We'll add that. If you're getting a garage door installed and you don't have the power up there, we can add power up there. So absolutely, we can put outlets anywhere. That's our bread and butter. And that's yeah. There's always a way.
Sure. The Christmas lights, a lot of people want to have the lights near the roof, like on the eave, the outlet, which is great today because if you can just plug it in right there,
Oh yeah.
um, at the roof near the gutter, the eave area, that's ideal. And I'm sure you do some of that.
Sure, it's cool. You can do a like a little time clock that's real down low in the garage somewhere, and then they can set times that they want it to come off and on, and that timer can control the plug. So to have timers in weird positions or getting on ladders trying to turn it off, there's a lot of cool stuff. Or let's say they don't want it all up in the eave. A lot of times you can go right by the breaker panel or on the opposite side and have a dedicated 20 amp circuit for that, and you can plug in tons of Christmas lights with a 20 amp circuit. Then you're not worrying about your porch going out or your garage with the meats or the freezer and sprinkler system or any of the extra things that are normally on there. People like having a dedicated circuit just for that.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
you're right. You can put a lot of lights on that dedicated circuit because the lights today, many of them are LED and they don't use as much power.
Yeah, it's great. And then when it blows out, you're not wondering where the GFCI is, and where it's one spot. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Yep.
So we can
You
add
had
plugs.
mentioned you had mentioned freezers. A lot of people, like to hunt or they buy a side of beef and they'll have a freezer or an extra fridge in the garage. They may not have an outlet close by, but really technically, they should have a dedicated circuit for that because I know when you build a house today, that refrigerator, correct me if I'm wrong, is supposed to be on its own circuit.
There's exceptions, but that's pretty common. Yeah, that's pretty common.
So that's something you could do if someone says, "Hey, I have this huge freezer. When I plug it into the garage outlet, the lights dim, the garage door opener doesn't always work because the breaker flips. Um, so once again, a dedicated circuit just for that could make a lot of sense.
And a really cool thing that people are getting into that they sell now is it's an outlet that has an alarm on it,
Mhm.
and so if it lets the old freezers will kick off or lose power for the ground fault or whatever, it can sound an alarm, and it makes it easy for them to find it. That's pretty handy too. You just don't want your freezer being out for 2 days and you don't notice it, but if there's an alarm going there, you're like, "Oh, what is that? What is going on there?" Most people don't check their freezers until they're ready to cook it, so that's a
That's
pretty cool.
true, and you wanna make sure you don't lose power there. Something else, a lot of people want to have a workshop in their garage.
Yeah.
When you crank up a circular saw, a table saw, these motors in the beginning, it's like an AC system, a lot of draw. Your lights dim. You may want to have an upgraded dedicated circuit for some of that.
Yeah, and you know what I really like doing? Are you familiar with those cord reels with the
Yep,
you pull on it and pulls down? I
love
like
them.
ha dedicated power in the ceiling
Daily.
and mount that up there, and then you can, you most people will be working, but they also wanna store something when they're not working, so it can be right in the middle of your garage, and you got that cord, and, then whenever you're not using it, and that way it's not have to be stuck on a wall, it's retractable. I like doing that a lot. That's really handy.
Very, very, very much so. Luke, as always, thank you for joining me today here on the Checo Pro Radio Show, having fun and answering questions for our listeners. Much appreciated.
Absolutely.